Hey guys, it's Callus, and I am here against my better judgment to try to narrate this set live, even though I just sub 10 minutes ago marathon narrated 6 videos in a row. I also don't have a drink, so this could be rough, especially because it is GSC, and if it goes 200 something turns, my throat is going to explode. All that being said, this is not only an exciting match, but it could be the final match of the round. It is Eduardo Carapinga, that would be Phoenix on the bottom, against Tony in the sun. That would be our boy Tony Flygon. I guess he's just Tony now. So Carapinga is up 1-0 in this series. Solwyn took down Lax and Oras. And Phoenix can beat Tony here for the win, or if Tony is to win here, it'll go to a sword and shield match between Bush Tush and Loden to decide the series. This is likely the best gen for both Tony and Phoenix, so a Gen 2 showdown here, very appropriate. Like I said, both of these guys very well versed and comfortable, probably arguably the best tier for both of them. Tony, famously, back-to-back GSC Cup finalist. Couldn't close the deal in either one, but getting to the finals both times is very good. And then Koenig's more of a newer dude, but he won the GSC Invitational 1. There is a second GSC Invitational going on this year, which the play-in started. The main event hasn't started, but I'm under the impression that it is about to start. But yeah, Koenig's won the first edition of that tour. And then he also was drafted as an SPL GSC starter this year. Unfortunately, right now, top of my head, I don't actually remember how he did. I know that he didn't dominate nor get trashed. He didn't go like 7-2, but he also didn't go like 2-7. I think he had somewhere in the 4-5, 5-4 middling, totally fine record with the Ruiners. I do remember that he was an Alpha Ruiner, which was one of the strongest teams this past year with M-Dragon, Ox the Fox, Malekith, Dice, what have you. So, this is already interesting. Ride-On these days in GSC is way less popular than it once was. Golem is a relatively new thing, and I say relatively, it's not hot off the presses, but Golem, as of, say, 3-ish years ago, was seldom to never seen. That is a more recent discovery, and in doing so, since obviously it's hard to fit both, and they do fill different roles, to be very fair, but naturally, being the exact same typing, with the rise of Golem, which is now a popular, staple, very viable mon in the eyes of basically everybody, that has subsequently made Ride-On take a bit of a dip. So that mon is at basically its all-time lowest as far as usage and appreciation. It's still OU, I believe. I don't think they actually knocked him out of OU. They didn't go that far, but like he's one of those like air quote OUs where like he's almost like a BL at this point. But Tony busting him out. Steelix is another one that a lot of the top players these days think that that mon kind of blows, and it's one of the coolest Pokemon at all, any generation in Pokemon history. It is a giant, intimidating fucking iron snake. The thing is badass. But like I said, it has also fallen a bit out of favor and is not what it once was. It was considered a viable, standard-ish OU for a long time. These days, kind of a fringe OU, still an OU, but one of the bottom end OUs, not that exciting, not considered very good. The beauty or the pain of playing live is you get to see it at the same pace that the players are actually playing, which normally I quite enjoy, but like I said, might be tough if we go 200 turns when my throat might not be up for this. Doing this against my better judgment. Huh. Tony is actually, I mean, not in danger, but dipping fairly low on his timer for this early in the match. Got about 2 minutes left, and of course that does build its way back up. Hidden power, neutral, and just boom. Alright, we'll trade. That's almost certainly a good trade for Phoenix. Zapdos is largely seen as the number 2 Mon in the tier, under, of course, the impenetrable Snorlax, but Lapdos, it's like a Zapdos Lapras hybrid. That'd be pretty cool and cute and stuff. But anyway, Zapdos is largely seen as the number 2 poke in the tier. You can argue Zapdos versus Raikou back and forth. Cloyster's up there. But it's a pretty clear 1-2 in Lax and Zapdos, whereas Steelix, like I said, is kind of like a low-end, it's OU, but it's whatever kind of Mon. It's a high-value trade for Phoenix, in my opinion. Heh. You know, it just clicked with me. It just occurred to me for the first time now that I've seen plenty of Tony games, but it just occurred to me that I actually don't think I've watched Tony play live very often. Not sure how many live Tony Flygon matches I've ever seen, and that's making me wonder if this is just an anomaly, or if he has a weird connection, or maybe he's just a slow player. I don't know. I was just wondering in my mind, is Tony a slow player? And I'm not actually sure the answer to that, because like I said, I don't think I've actually seen that many Tony games. I know guys like Linear is a great ADV example, or like Undisputed is a great ADV example. Quite the opposite. Very fast players. Borderline clickers in the best possible way. But they really aren't too worried about timer. They're go, go, go. Tony, I don't know if he's a slow player or not, but he is certainly playing this game very slowly. He's down to 15 seconds, and we're not even 10 turns in. He's also shown his whole team, which is unusual, whereas there are 3 unrevealed in the back for Phoenix. Tony, probably with the amount of experience he has in this tier, can guess at what some of those would be. Zapdos would have been one of my guesses, but hell, Tony might know or have a damn good guess as to what the whole team is. He might know the other 2. Ooh, opportunity there. Crit would have killed, and even now Lax is in a bit of danger. Yeah, he doesn't want to play that game. Out of the way he goes, and we end up with Zapdos and Bliss here. That's another kind of, not an unmon, that's a little too strong, but Blissey, quite uncommon in GSCOU these days, rare even. And this is actually our second Blissey usage of this tour in our limited GSC games so far. But you get kind of weird numbers and statistics when you have such a small sample size as we have here. I wonder, I wish I'd been more prepared for this match. I don't have things pulled up, but I wonder what the Blissey usage was in its entirety for GSC in the last SPL. I bet you it's like certainly under 10, might even be under half a dozen. Like I said, pretty uncommon to see her. So yeah, Tony's team a little funky. Blissey Rhydon is weird. Those are not super common mons anymore, but Tony obviously knows what he's doing. I'm not questioning it at all. I'm not saying it with any kind of negative connotation. Simply saying that those pokes are not as popular as they once were. So Zap on Cloyster. Obviously Zap with the advantage here. Phoenix team looks quite a bit more offensive than Tony's. Got Scar and Bliss. Not that that's the same broken core that it is in ADV. And then Phoenix, on the other hand, he's got the Boomer, maybe even double Boomer. I assume it's a relatively aggressive Zapdos set. Not sure what the last poke would be. I just don't know the tier well enough. I know it well enough, air quotes, to like commentate it and know the mechanics and have a general idea of why the players are doing what they're doing, but I'm not at the level of this tier where I can just take a glance and be like, oh, I know what the last poke's going to be. But let me try to put a little bit of thought into it. Let's see. Curse, Lovely Kissy, Q. Last move, Returner, Body Slammer, Double Edge. What would make sense? I could see like an Eggs for Phoenix as like another Boomer. I could see something like a Vaporeon that he could boom down 2 and try to clean up with. Let's see. Those are things that come to mind. Could just be a golem. That might be too many EQ weaknesses, but it would provide a spinner that isn't cloister. Or I guess a Starmie is another option. You have the 2 electric weaknesses, and then the Steelix eats the Thunders. I don't think that's as likely. All right, my official guesses, like I said, are going to be those 2 things. They're going to be or 3 things: a Vaporeon, an Executor, or a Golem. One of those. And I'm probably going to be wrong. Oh, sweet. All right, check this out. Oh, Lifesaver. This match is starting, which is the other match in this series. It's a Loden, which is on the Let's in the Sun with Lax and Tony, against Bush Tush of Carapinga with Keonix and Solwyn. This is great. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I get to just... this is the last video no matter what. You have no idea how happy I am. Instead of coming back and dealing with this shit in like an hour and making another video, I just get to finish it now. It's so good. Alright, nice and early. It's only noon real time for me. I'm going to be done with this shit early on in the day. We're going to move on to the next round. I'm going to get to spend time with my wife. Oh, life is beautiful. I'm going to primarily concentrate on this one because A, I already started, and B, I know this tier way better than I know SS, but we are going to pop in on this one from time to time. And you know what? I'm also going to go ahead and switch the sides to keep it consistent with where their teammates are. So it'll be the Carapingas on the bottom, right? And then the In the Sun team on the top. I think that just makes sense. Don't want to get too far behind. It doesn't look like we missed much. Just a rest as the Cloister came in. Let's just take a quick look here. Let's see. Bush's team looking balanced versus... I would call this an offense for a Loden, but you're asking the wrong guy. But like I said, I don't want to spend too much time here. Let's go back to the GSC. Oh, well, I'm glad we didn't miss that. We got Cloister booming and trading with the Lax, which is obviously important. Anything that trades 1-for-1 with Lax in this gen is a net gain for the non-Lax player. So, in my opinion, Keonix is winning this game and has made 2 very good booms. Tony has traded 2 non-Lax, non-Zapdos Pokemon for Lax and Zapdos. Has traded the 2 best pokes in the tier, Zap and Lax, for 2 things that aren't those. So those have been 2 good booms. That has been a good trade for Keonix in both instances, in my opinion. And I feel that Keonix is likely to win this game, with the caveat of the Rhydon curses up and beats him. It's not something he can beat. But I'm assuming if he's booming down the way that he is, that the Zapdos has HP Ice or Water, or that the last poke is something that isn't at all worried about the Rhydon, and so on and so forth. Zapdos here, if it has HP Water, or hell, maybe even HP Ice, Ice could potentially... I don't know the calcs well enough. I don't know if Ice kills Rhydon from 63% or not. Water certainly would. But the Zapdos potentially could just win the game here. It could just kill the Cloister and the Skarm and the Rhydon all in one go. And a crucial LK is going to land there. And that's after there was a crit Surf that almost killed the Lax. Here comes Skarm. Here comes Zap. The reason he didn't stay in initially against Cloister and go for it is because he doesn't want to miss Thunder and lose the game in that way. That hidden power doesn't really tell us anything, whether that were Ice or Water. It would be neutral against the Skarm. And like I said all along, it is obviously Last Poke Espeon. Duh, you dummies who thought it was Executor and Vaporeon and whatever other dumb thing I said. It was obviously Espeon. And that's going to be game 1 for Keonix of Carapinga. So if he wins the second or potential third game, we're done. And I don't know what that means for this match. If it would play out, if it were like in the middle of game 2 or game 3 or whatever, and the other match were to end, I don't know. But that is where we are. So we will wait for that game to start. And I guess we will be here in the meantime. Wasn't really expecting to narrate Gen 8 live. I think I'm going to talk to you guys about the weather and about things that are within my range. But yeah, doing SS live is not something I'm going to do too well. Going to embarrass myself since I don't know what half the moves do and I don't know what terrains do, and I know that boots are broken. Is that a new insight for you guys? No. Got the of course going when the burn comes down. I think these guys are friends. I think that any like of course or gotcha or any of that, I think any of the like lighthearted smack talk between these two is exactly that. Is lighthearted, is friendly. I don't think there's any bad blood. I think these guys are buds. So this, of course, is game 1 as we await the second GSC game, which you guys just saw Phoenix win. So Karapinga is up a match and a game. It's gonna have to be a pretty good comeback for Let's in the Sun, which they are certainly capable of doing. There we go. Tony and Phoenix moving along. Doesn't seem like much happened in this one while we were here, but at least we got a little glimpse. So let's go ahead and switch the sides for continuity. Let's keep Phoenix, the Karapinga, on the bottom as Eduardo Karapinga, and then Tony in the Sun, not on the Sun. Either way, Tony in the Sun. Goofy name. Top side. Nidoking and Tower leads, huh? So Nidoking lead is interesting. So it learns Lovely Kiss. It also sometimes carries Counter, and then it also has coverage moves in Earthquake, Ice Beam, and Thunder. It can also randomly learn like Fire Blast, but doesn't really have that very often. But the two interesting moves to play around are Lovely Kiss, because you don't want to get the wrong thing Lovely Kissed, and also Counter. You don't want to, if your T-Tower, like Earthquake it there, for example, and then have that get countered. And then Phoenix just discovers right now for the first time that his teammates are playing. And there is counter, by the way. There is counter for Hidden Power, which is just an awkward mechanic that's existed for a long time. But in old gens 2 and 3, all Hidden Powers, whether they're physical or special, are pushed back by counter rather than mirror coat. So whether it is, say, Hidden Power Fighting, obviously fighting being physical, or like Hidden Power, whatever, Water, which is obviously special, both of those would come back with counter rather than mirror coat, which is kind of unusual. And you see that in Gen 3 sometimes as well. You get these weird things where like a Magneton will like HP fire a fortress, and instead of Earthquake back, you counter it back and kill it that way. Kind of a goofy interaction. I'm not sure why they programmed it that way. I feel like it is more intuitive that it would. I feel like it just makes more sense that it would just go by type, that water would go back with mirror coat, and that, fighting would go back with counter. But here we are. Oh man, one of my ROAPL games is happening at the same time too. This game, I'm on the side of Voyager against Tala here. So many games that are relevant to me happening all at once. This one's boring. It's only been 2 turns. Oops, not that one. Too many games. That one. Alright, what'd we miss? Let's go ahead and back up. Too many games happening at once here. This one I obviously remember. That was a huge counter, and Tony falls behind. I remember that part. Okay. LK, so he has both LK and counter. Dangerous stuff. Okay. Now Cloyster comes in as Lax continues to nap. Yup. spikes, zap, and spikes. All right, I believe that's about where we are. What is this? Twilight Zone, man. Our third Blissey in this tour. And, I mean, again, in GSC specifically. ADV Blissies, I would not be even a little bit put off, but we're getting a bunch of GSC Blissies in this tour. Body Slam Crit Power there is good for Tony. Whirlwind Zap a lot of the time does not have rest, so any damage you can get on it really matters and really adds up. Whirlwind and Thunder so far. He could have rest. I'm not saying he doesn't, just a lot of the time Whirlwind Zap doesn't. It can, but a lot of the time it doesn't. Okay, while they think, let's go ahead and check on this one. Still no knockouts over here, but this one's moving pretty slow. I wonder if they are watching their teammates' games, which is gonna make this even slower and more distracting if they're doing that. Crunch, sure. Nidoking back. Blanking a Toxic. That is very good. That's where you want to be. One of the best things you can switch him in on. Does he have Thunder? Because he has both Lovely Kiss and Counter, and he's shown Earthquake, so you only get one or the other. Earthquake or Thunder is the last move. Obviously can't have both. Well, he's going to whiff Lovely Kiss, which is just going to happen sometimes, and he's going to die to a Surf. So Tony with a much-needed break there. He has felt behind for much of this series so far. That's certainly going to help his cause, and that's going to bring us to a 5-5. And yeah, now Phoenix figuring out what to do. And man, they are really having fun with their team name. They seem quite pleased with themselves. They seem very fond of their team name. Here's Gar. So another offensive team from Phoenix, which is about a 0.0% surprise for me. That's just the way the dude plays. Not that he can't play stall, but yeah, he's certainly more of an offensive player at heart. Okay, while they think, go ahead and check on this game. I'm so tempted to check in on my ROAPL game, but gonna let them do their thing. Focus here on the coverage of the tournament that you guys are here to see. The CALLOUS Crew Challenge, not the CALLOUS ROAPL Challenge. Oh, I missed a ton. Looks like it's going well, though. 6-4. Go Voyager. Still thinking over here. Dragonite doing his thing. I got nothing to say. I just don't know this tier. I'm sorry. Slowking Galar comes in. And a soft-boiled. That I can narrate. Let's go back over here. Cloy on Cloy. And Titar coming in on a spike. This one moving pretty slow. We're on turn 15 only. Toxic miss there. Again, another break for Tony. And Zapdos coming in on a Surf. Absolutely not going to live another. Ooh, and I see on my mobile phone that Voyager just won his game. That's sweet. Voyager is actually playing for the first time this week. We subbed him in, and obviously is going to get to play again next week after that performance. He just ran her the fuck over. I didn't actually catch the game, so I'm going to go back and review it. If I feel like he played like crap, then I'll obviously talk to him about it. But yeah, with that beatdown, he will certainly get to play again next week. Good job, Voyager. Appreciate it. Back to business. Check on this while they're thinking. We're still at 6-6. There we go. There's Vaporeon. That's a little more in line of what I thought he would have last game. Honestly, these teams are not identical, but like pretty similar. It's the same core. It is Zapdos, Cloyster, Gengar, Lax. Those were the same. Then it's a ground type, which in this case is Nidoking. Last time was Steelix, but again, same concept. And then the aggressive finisher in the back that appreciates all the booms. So in this case, it is Vaporeon. Last time it was Espeon. But the team's very similar for Phoenix. Same base concept, same base strategy. And I'm not sure how much of this is it's simply what Phoenix prefers and is comfortable with and wants to play, versus he specifically thinks that those are good shouts against Tony. I have only very casually taken glances at Tony's GSC Cup games. Again, I'm very aware of his accomplishment, a back-to-back GSC Cup finalist, which is awesome. But I didn't actually watch too many of those games, so it's totally possible that Phoenix knows something that I don't know and knows that, Tony is a very fat preferring player and really likes these blissies or whatever. Maybe it's a thing. If he knows that Tony leans towards fat and likes like blobby teams or whatever, then it makes a lot of sense that you would choose these kind of squads into those kind of squads. At the same time, maybe it's just a coincidence, and this is the way that the matchups have fallen. I'm certainly surprised that Tony has opted for Blissey 2 games in a row, but maybe it doesn't surprise Phoenix at all. Maybe that's just the way that Tony plays. That's just beyond my personal knowledge. I haven't watched Tony too much as a GSC player, but obviously the results are there, and they speak for themselves. That being said, I think it's a decent matchup for Phoenix again, and I think Phoenix is in a decent place right now. Let me just do a quick HP roundup, since I have been bouncing back and forth between a bunch of games. T-Tar healthy, Lax healthy, Skarm healthy, Bliss healthy. Perfect. Cloyster not healthy, Zapdos not healthy and paralyzed, and everything else looks okay. But this is actually closer than it looks because, yeah, a couple of Tony's Mons are not in good shape. Like I said, Zapdos paralyzed and low, Cloyster low, and even the Vaporeon, the Gengar took Spike's damage on the way, and the Vaporeon, the damage will add up over time. Toxic and Spikes. Toxic is not nearly as busted in this gen as it is in Gen 3. And I guess busted's the wrong word. Toxic isn't a broken move, but Toxic is way more manageable, doesn't do as much damage, not as good in this gen as it is going forward. There's a Surf. Remember, guys, if Phoenix wins this game, we're done. Carapanga's through. I don't know if the other match is going to play out or not, but if Phoenix wins, then the other match becomes obsolete, which we are just going to check on real quick. Hey, a knockout. All right. Weavile went down for Bush Tush. +1 Surf. Sleep Talk. Nope. Body Slam Rest, but seemingly no Sleep Talk in this case. Vaporeon is going to rest, as is the Lax. That's got to be good for Phoenix. Just going to get a couple of free Surfs off at +1 once he wakes up, which he's going to do right now. And he's going to opt for the defensive approach of Acid Armor, and then Tony is going to boost his offense with Curse, since the defense boost isn't going to matter in this specific matchup. Body Slam an underwhelming 22%, doesn't find the para. The Surf, however, 44%. But Body Slam now finds a crit to bail Tony out in a matchup that he was otherwise losing one-on-one. And he gets a better roll that time. The first Body Slam did 22%. That one, crucially, did 24%. Now, granted, Tony had multiple options there that would have gotten it done for him. A crit, a para, or a better damage roll. He does, in fact, get the better damage roll, and the Vaporeon goes down. And that could be a big deal for Phoenix. The Vaporeon actually looked like a pretty big threat that that Tony's team does not easily deal with. The Skarm certainly couldn't deal with it. The Tyranitar would have a difficult time dealing with it, but I guess if you catch him while he's asleep, maybe. And then the Blissey would lose to it eventually as it grows up a million times and gets the job done. So I don't know that I love this aggressive play here from Phoenix, but I mean, at the same time, do you really switch out there when your Vaporeon is so low and when you have two other things that are really banged up? Don't you just kind of have to go for it and hope that Tony doesn't get what he needs or that Tony rests or whatever? It might be hard to get the Vaporeon in later and rest it up. I get that. There's an argument to be made that, like, yeah, you do just sacrifice, Cloyster, Zapdos, whatever, and then get the Vaporeon in against the Blissey and get a rest off. I can certainly see that argument too. I'm not enough of an expert at this tier to know the correct play, but it is at least curious for me. Should he have gone for it there? Should he have given up the Vaporeon? I'm not sure. So that does leave us in a 4-4, and stuff on both sides has seen better days. Like I said, we've got this 26% Cloyster, make that 14 as he appears. Zapdos 22% paralyzed. Better days. But on the flip side of that, we have 23% Lax with a spike down and no possibility to remove that spike. And then the Skarm isn't like on its deathbed, but it could be doing better at 44%. Would have been a great boom there, but a hard prediction to make. He does opt for Surf. You obviously don't want to boom into T-Tar nor Skarm, but then again, booming into Skarm at this stage might not even be that bad because it's at 44%. I don't know what the roll is there, but I feel like Boom would do a pretty good chunk to it, even though it does resist it. Alright, Boom with Bliss is probably ideal at this point, so that's a good turn for Phoenix. I want to check on the other one, but I don't want to miss the ending here, because like I said, the whole series, the whole round is over if Phoenix wins. We would just have our 4 semifinal teams, and we would move along. I'm going to take a quick peek, but I really don't want to miss. Okay, I'm glad I looked. That's relevant. So Loden is going to take game 1 here. He's on Let's in the Sun. He's Tony's teammate. And like I said, Carapinga is up 1-0 in this series via Solwyn beating Lax. Therefore, Loden must win this match. And obviously winning game 1, he is on the way to doing that. And they have not started the next game. Maybe they're waiting until this one finishes. That's what I would do, but up to them. So as it stands, it is Carapinga 1-0 in matches over Let's in the Sun. It is Phoenix 1-0 over Tony, and it is Loden 1-0 over Bush Tush. So that's where we are, and we wait. Tony figuring out what to do. I specify Tony rather than Phoenix because, as we can see, it is Tony who's taking the time here. Phoenix has already decided on his next move. Been about a minute of thinking for Tony, but he still has another minute and a half to figure it out. And the other game did not wait. Game 2 of Loden versus Bush is right here. And we will again switch sides for continuity. Obviously an aggro team with Cloyster here. And this just looks like a balanced aggro-ish team for Loden. But let's not miss the end of this game. Because like I said, the entire series, the entire round could be over should Phoenix pull it out. So with about a minute left, a minute and a half later, Tony figures out that he wants to go to Skarm. And that's going to be against Lax for Phoenix. Let's just do a quick game review here. So, 82% Tar, that's shown only Crunch and Toxic. Body Slam, Rest, Curse, Lax at a paltry 23%, and the Spike Down. The last move, whatever it is not Sleep Talk, because he certainly would have used that before. And then we have what's in front of you is Skyrim at 50% that's only shown Whirlwind. And now Drill Peck. On the other end of that, 22% Paralyzed Zapdos that may or may not have rest. I'm going to say it probably doesn't. Then we have this Lax that's only shown Earthquake, which it just did. And then we have Gengar that hasn't shown anything at all. And that's where we are. 20 seconds for Tony. I mean, you would think there's no chance in hell that he's going to time out and have his team eliminated from the tournament in that fashion. But he dips down to a scary 15 seconds, man. Unclear if he has curse or not. Looks like he was fishing for crits. Well, this would be the chance. If Zapdos has rest, this would be the time. I think it doesn't. I think, again, not only does Whirlwind Zap often not have rest, but the other thing is the team is so aggressive for Phoenix that I don't even know that a rest zap really makes sense. I think you're better off with an aggressive non-rest zap that does its thing. Crucially here, Tony gets the Lax in on the other Lax and manages to get a rest off before the other Lax finds Sleep Talk EQ. That was a massive turn and a big turning point in this game. I liked Phoenix's position damn near all game long up until that very moment. Now with Tony with a Curse Lax that is now healthy against, I believe, a non-Curse Lax on the other side. Yeah, for sure. It's not Last Move Curse. Just going to be, again, Body Slam, Return, or Double Edge. Now, I actually like Tony's position here. It's not a lock. For example, he could have gotten crit with a Thunder on the last turn. There's still ways to lose, no doubt. But I think Tony just bought himself a much higher chance to win this game. But again, Thunder here. Boom. Lax gone. Not locked by any means, but Tony has definitely given himself a chance. Body Slam, sure. Man, another para for the Zapdos. Tony really getting bailed by some nonsense here. Zapdos leftied itself up pretty good. It was, like I said, I've really liked Phoenix's position throughout the game, but Tony has caught some breaks when he's needed it, as well as some good plays, and those two things combined, getting there when you need to get there and playing well, has dug Tony back into this game. This one is not over yet, boys. This series will continue. And by the way, guys, on the other match, which we'll check on in a moment, Loden and Bush, you guys overwhelmingly in the predictions. I can even check on that real quick. I just don't want to accidentally go into our ROA PL chat, but you guys overwhelmingly in the predictions. I'll check on my phone real quick. You guys overwhelmingly thought that Bush Tush was going to win against the Loden. And, well, I mean, it's not over, but game one he certainly did not. Let me go ahead and check what you guys thought. You guys thought, oh yeah, super lopsided. 44-7. You guys thought that Bush Tush was going to win. And maybe he still will. But he did lose game one to a Loden. That was also a big 72% pursuit here from Tony. Leaving that Gar, is he dead? Yeah, he's at 4%. He's dead. He's going to come in and die to Spike, so that Gar is essentially dead. Tony, I think, has made the comeback. Tony, I think, is actually going to win this game and send us to a crucial Game 3. On the other side, turn 10, and there is a knockout. It's Bush actually down again, according to a quick glimpse here. Well, everything else is healthy. Lando 17, Tapulo. Hard to say. But if Loden wins this game, it's all going to come down to the GSC, whereas if Bush wins, they obviously are going to go to a Game 3. There's Gengar dying to Spikes. So 2 pokes remaining for Phoenix, the Zapdos and the Lax against the 3 from Tony, Skyrim Titar, and his own Lax. Yeah, that one turn where he got his own Lax in and got it healthy, it felt like a huge turning point. Obviously, 2 follow-up paralysis turns for Zapdos for Phoenix. It didn't help. But that really did feel like the turning point. But Phoenix has another win condition, too, which is the clock. Tony down to 10%, or 10%, 10 seconds. Tony has an HP bar too, in case you were wondering. And he's obviously going to have to not time out because he would, yeah, it would stand. The result would stand. If he times out, he loses, and if he loses, his team's out. So, obviously going to have to be conscientious of the clock. That was not what he wanted to whirlwind out there. He specifically wanted the Scarm. This is going to be an issue. He can Pursuit here, and the Zapdos can't do much of anything about it. He would need to land either a crit or a para, and then just kind of fucking get there. Crunch, crit didn't matter, but there's Crunch, and it's only Lax now for Phoenix against 3 from Tony, and it's also a non-curse Lax against a curse Lax, and I believe a curse Scarm. Yeah, no, I think this is fucked. He, Earthquake, Rest Talk, and normal attack against curse Scarm. Good luck. He knows it. He packs it in. Great comeback from Tony. I really thought Phoenix was ahead for most of that game and was looking good to 2-0 Tony there, but it is not to be. Tony clutches out game 2, not ready to lose just yet, going to a huge game 3 in this series, and especially, we're going to move back over here while we wait, but especially if Alolan does manage to close out Bush Tush here, then it will all come down to the third game between Tony and Bush. God, Tony and Bush. I can't narrate. I can't narrate. Tony and Phoenix. You guys know what I meant. I do that a lot. I've noticed that in my own recordings that I accidentally call, Salamence Starmie sometimes, or that I say it's, Bush Tush using Earthquake against Bush Tush's Swampert. Names are too hard. Weavile down. I don't know if he didn't have boots or if he simply lost them. Did they get knocked off at some point? It doesn't tell me anymore. I don't know. I don't know the tier well enough. Now it looks like Bush Tush is ahead. Ferrothorn's in rough shape. Full health, low, and full. So yeah, 2 of these are in pretty bad shape. Andy's down a poke. Bush's team is like fully healthy. Yeah, Bush looks real good in this one. So I think we're going to a game 3 here as well. But watch this space. Not 100% sure by any means. And then of course when the GSC does start up, and again maybe there's waiting on this game to finish, I don't know. But when the GSC does begin, I'm obviously gonna bring you guys that as well. Alolan now taking the time, and he's going to settle on Dragapult. Just going to take a quick second on my phone to congratulate Voyager while we have a brief lull here. There we go. Told him he did an awesome job. And the timing works out very well because we got this, and we're going to go ahead and switch sides for continuity. So for the third and final time, pending a draw, which I hope for the sake of my throat doesn't happen, but does once in a while occur in GSC. But pending a draw, which is unlikely, it would be the final game between Phoenix, which is Eduardo Carapinga, and Tony Flygon, Tony in the sun. I keep calling him Tony Flygon. I'm always going to, and I don't think it offends him. I don't think it upsets him, but I do believe that he ended up dropping the Flygon part, and he is just Tony. But it's the same thing. When Fatty changed to Brufasa, he was just still Fatty. And it'd be the same thing for me. If I change my Smogon username to Ryan Spring or to just Spring or something, you don't think everybody would just call me fucking Callous? Of course they would. So Phoenix has switched over. Interesting. He brought two similar offensive teams in a row. He had Zap, Cloyster, Gar, Lax, and then ground type finisher twice in a row as his composition. He has now done a 180 and busted out a stall team with Fortress, and I think Tony may have also changed it up. It's too early to say. Zap and Lax could be anything, but I don't know. Maybe did Tony really bring Bliss a third time in a row? Certainly possible, but it feels not super likely to me. And there you go. This one actually over. Bush Tush is going to take this one down and force a game 3. So both matches are going to come down to a game 3. And I remind you once again that Karapinga is up 1-0 as far as matches. So both Tony and Illoden are going to have to win for Let's in the Sun to win. Whereas if either of Phoenix or Bush Tush is to win, then it's going to be Karapinga in the semifinals. And the way that the bracket falls, it is Shady Mofos against French on the top side, and then the winner of this match, so either Karapinga or Let's in the Sun, is going to face El Cabron in the semifinals, which is the YouTuber team of Blunder, PokeAim MD, and Poic. So once again, I will bring you that third game on the other side whenever that does occur, but in the meantime, we are going to focus primarily on the GSC. And like I said, we have a stall team for Phoenix versus a balance or maybe even an offense for Tony. It's cool to see them switch roles. It's been Phoenix as the aggressor both times against the stalling Tony, but looks like we've done some kind of role reversal action here. Starmie coming in, probably to check the Cloyster and just spin indefinitely as it spikes all the time. But as it turns out, Cloyster didn't stick around. Nightmare. Tech. Discovered only a couple years ago and has become a standard. I think Georgie did it first, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, Nightmare Starmie is a bitch. I think Georgie busted it out in SPL 3, maybe 4 years ago, one of those. And yeah, now it is considered legit. It is used quite often, and it is a nightmare to play against. Anybody see what I did there? Surf and spikes, almost certainly a rapid spin coming. Just kidding. Now almost certainly a rapid spin coming. Nope, nightmare. It'll come eventually. Phoenix must not feel at all pressured or like he has to rapid spin, or he's just playing forever around a Gar. Keeping the pressure on, that's for damn sure. Gave himself a crit chance there, and had he gotten it, he would have killed the Lax. He's giving the Lax unpleasant dreams as we speak. Does he not have spin? Am I dumb? That's why. It doesn't have spin. I'm just dumb. 4 move slot syndrome here. He's going to have Nightmare. He's not going to have Spin. Simple enough. Fortress is going to have Spin, so it makes sense. Do you really need double Spinner? What is Phoenix talking about? I mean, I get that it's the Will Smith quote from the infamous Chris Rock smack. I got that part, but it's so random. It's like that's like me typing "by winning" in the chat. If anyone remembers that old infamous Charlie Sheen interview, like it's just a random stupid celebrity quote. What does this have to do with anything? I don't understand the humor on Pokemon Showdown, but here we are. Okay, this game has begun. And I don't have to switch sides. Cool, they are where they belong. Well, at least I've seen all these pokes before. That's a good start. No idea what kind of matchup is or who's going to win or any of that shit, but here is the third game between these guys as well. we will keep an eye on it as we work our way through this one. And this one has slowed down quite a bit. Looks like the star is real annoying for Tony. Not a threat so much as just obnoxious, but doesn't look like he has anything that's super duper wants to switch into it. I wonder if Tony's last two are very similar to what Phoenix had busted out in the first game. I wonder if it's, a Gar and then the last poke, whatever, Espeon, Vaporeon, something aggressive, what have you. But yeah, it is apparently the Starmie show here. Nightmare Star terrorizing Tony and has not found a fantastic answer to that just yet. Man, I almost want to watch the other game. This one, something will happen eventually, but this one not that exciting. My chat is saying that Fear created the Nightmare Starmie. I really thought it was Georgie. If it was Fear, who is my friend and does watch these videos, I apologize for that mistake, and I credit you with it then. I'm not sure. One of you guys made it. But yeah, it was only a couple, 2-3 years ago, whatever. Nightmare Starmie, a relatively recent thing. Alright, we'll come back to this one. It's not too much happening here. How we doing over here? Turn 7 and everything's still alive. Lando got burnt though. When did that happen? Heatran Will-O-Wisp, turn 4. That's when that happened. Okay. Everything else in spiffy shape. It is just turn 7. I would think things aren't too dead yet. Yeah, too early on for this to be too exciting. These are the last games, these two, of the round, no matter what. Unsurprisingly, there is a Gar for Tony. Like I said, very similar to the stuff that Phoenix had used in the previous games. Mean look. Ooh. Ooh. Mean look. Perish song. And the Lax, unless it's last move EQ, cannot touch the Gar at all. Debond just in case he happens to find an EQ, which, good thing. Looks like he did. This Lax is dying no matter what. The only question is whether or not he takes the Gar with him. And the answer is yes. Alright, good trade for Tony. Again, any non-Lax trade for Lax favors the guy who killed the Lax, so gotta be good for Tony. Still 5-5, obviously anybody's game. But a good play for Tony, no doubt. Coming up clutch. He lost game 1. He looked pretty behind in game 2 and pulled that out. And maybe he'll pull out game 3 as well. Tony coming back from behind to keep his team alive. Or so he hopes. If so, it would come down to this game of Bush and Deloden, which we'll go ahead and skip to end, which apparently isn't very far. They're only on turn 9. We'll come back to this one. Looks like it's moving fairly slowly. Not that this one's moving too quickly. There's Zap for both. You would think that it's, again, aggressive finisher, Vaporeon, Espeon, something to that effect. As the last poke for Tony, that's the standard on this archetype. There's Thunder. Tony getting the worst end of that exchange. Thunder doing quite a bit more than the hidden power here. And now Lax comes in as Golem comes in. So we have 3 different things that can learn Rapid Spin for Phoenix. But who has them? Could be like Hidden Power Boom for the last 2 on Fortress, and then we know the Starmie doesn't have it, so it might only be Golem that actually has Rapid Spin here. And there it is. And obviously no chance of blocking that with the Gengar dead, so that spin is just going to be what it's going to be. That being said, he reestablishes the spikes with great haste. And now Golem comes into the Steelix. Is he willing to eat a potential Earthquake here in exchange for the Rapid Spin? We're going to find out. Cloister in. And Rapid Spin. So yes, he was in fact willing to eat an Earthquake, but it didn't come. And he's going to have the balls to stay in here, thinking that it's going to be Spikes rather than Surf. Surf would easily one-hit KO him with that 4x weakness and the stab behind it. But he anticipated that there would not be a Surf, that it would instead be Spikes. He's right, and he got chip damage on the Cloister in exchange. Full team now shown for Phoenix. Last poke Gar. Last poke still unknown for Tony, though I'm sure Phoenix can narrow it down to just a small handful of things that it could be. There's Rapid Spin. EQ there would have sniped the Cloister, but he's unable to pull the trigger. Cloister down to 19%. And EQ there would have killed him, but Phoenix unable to pull the trigger that time. Spikes again reestablished, and it brings us to a 25% Cloister where they both have spikes in this 5-5 situation. What a wonderful time to pause. This one has Bush Tush down a poke for half a second, but now got ourselves a 5-5. Everything else on Bush's team, untouched. Complete virgin, just like Bush. And most of the things pretty healthy here as well. Obviously the burn on the Dragonite matters. Thunderbolt on Lax as more people enjoying the Carapinga team name. Sleep Talk EQ. Hey, pretty good. A little chip damage there. Cloister again coming in. Earthquake, Snipe dead. No. Rapid Spin. Can't pull the trigger. Here's Gar. And Spikes. It's been Spikes every time for Tony. Koenig's got to be kicking himself that he's missed multiple opportunities to click EQ and kill the Cloister, but it's so hard to do as a player. It's so scary. The one time you try it and you're wrong, he just clicks Surf and you lose Golem and you're boned. So it's hard. It's a hard trigger to pull, but that's where we are. Multiple opportunities have been there to kill the Cloister. If Koenix goes on to lose this game, he can't blame anybody. He had his chances. He's lost the mental mind games to Tony. Multiple chances to kill the Cloister would have been huge had he done it. But he hasn't been able to work up the courage to pull the trigger, and Tony has taken full advantage. Koenix has to blame only himself if he loses this game, which is far from a foregone conclusion. This is totally still anybody's game. And the Cloister does eventually go down, and is a last poke Eevee evolution, but it's not Espeon or Vaporeon. We've got Jolteon, who's going to sub up on Boom wisely. Maybe a bit predictable for Koenix to Boom there. Didn't take a lot of thinking. Neither one even used their timer. Just insta-boom, insta-sub. Koenix may be wishing he could have that one back. That was not the most exciting boom I've ever seen. Yeah, that might have been a bit premature. A little premature explosion, if you know what I'm saying. We'll see. That's a questionable turn, I think. I'm not sure about a couple of the Koenix decisions in this game. Gonna end up with Zap on Jolteon here. Let me go ahead and peek back here. This one's still going with Bush seemingly behind, but it's so hard without seeing the game to just glance at the scoreboard. Maybe he's not behind. He trends low. Kartana's basically dead. Dragonite's burnt. It's a close one. I just don't want to miss the ending of that if the series simply ends, which, should Bush Tush win, we're just done. We have reached a slower point in this game. A little bit of thinking for both, but not too long as the Steelix comes in. Obviously immune to Thunder here. Zapdos has shown only Thunder so far. A lot of them, apparently. He's Thundered 6 times and done nothing else. Interesting that the Zapdos is named Carapinga, but nothing else as a nickname. Where's Carapinga 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? That burn has got to be killing you. Burn on a DD Mon. Knock off lefties. I know what knockoff does. I know what leftovers does. I could narrate this tier. I think Bush is looking pretty good here. Oh yeah, Tapu dead there. Kartana, Heatran low. Oh man, I don't want to miss anything for either one. This game looks like it's coming to a close. Alright, back over to Gen 8. Gen 2, nothing's happening. Plasma Fist for the KO. I think Bush has this, and oh, well, there's a burn. Yeah, doesn't he just have a burnt Dragonite and an 8% Kartana? I think Bush is about to win the series. Yep. That's it. We're done. We're done. I'll let the other one play out if they want to, but Bush has won the match and the series for his team. The result of the GSC, and I don't know if they're going to play out or not. I'm going to tell them. Just giving them the option here. I'm fine either way. They can play it out or not play it out. It doesn't matter to me, but the outcome here is now obsolete. Bush Tush defeats the Loden 2-1, and it's going to be Carapinga moving on to the semifinals. I've informed them, so they are now deciding whether or not they want to play this out. I'm totally fine either way. Happy to narrate for you if they do want to finish this, and if not, that's totally their prerogative. I don't care if someone just concedes here. Phoenix says, let's not finish. You know what? Let's finish. Well, that's one way to finish it. Staying in for rapid spin and getting EQ'd. But yeah, I think Phoenix knows that he's not in good shape in this game, and yeah, and Tony just being a good sport about it. I informed him that his team was out, and he cool and classy about it as always. He complimented Bush. The tush is too powerful, alas. Seems totally cool with it. Appreciate good guy Tony, keeping it chill and classy. It's the way it should be. You win some, you lose some. Obviously, you try to win, but when you don't, you roll with it and you wish the other team luck and you move along. It's just the way it is, man. Hidden power there, obviously not water. We're looking at HP ice, which is way more common. Boom into Fori. That was good anticipation by Phoenix. That's certainly the ideal thing to get boomed on in this situation, obviously. Substitute boom, sure. Leaves us on a 3-2 situation. Zapdos and Starmie against Lax and 2 Electrics, which obviously Starmie isn't too fond of. I believe Tony is going to win this game almost certainly. It's too bad for Tony that result isn't going to matter. But I do think that Tony's going to end up taking this down. So assuming that we're going to count that result, and we might as well go ahead and post those replays when they're done. It'll technically, with an asterisk, be a 2-1 series victory for Carapinga, but whether it is 2-1 or 2-0 is irrelevant. The bottom line is that Carapinga did win the series, and they will advance to the semifinals. So our 4 finalist teams, as a review, like I said, it's going to be Shady Mofos, which is Empo Fomog Sprinkler, against Frinch, which is Finchinator Zakaru Teklis, in the upper part of the semifinals, upper bracket. And then in the lower bracket semifinals, Carapinga, Solwyn Bush Tush Phoenix, against El Cabron, which is Blunder, Pokeaim MD, and Poic. Those are our semifinalists, and I think it'll be great. I really don't know who's going to win this tour. I think it's super up in the air. Very excited as another one of my ROAPL matches starts. I don't care. I'm done. I'm not watching it. It's fucking RBY. It's going to take forever. Nope. I quit. I'm uploading shit to YouTube. I am done. I'm totally going to watch it after this video. I see GG's. And there is the concession, and indeed Tony does win this. But it is for naught. Good on Tony to get the W here, but it's not going to be enough. It is a 2-1 series victory for Carapinga. They're going to the semifinals, and I'm done narrating, at least for the day, but probably for the rest of my life. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video that isn't coming, because I'm done for the rest of my life.